All right, let's get some insight on Ryan Walters' Purdue program. For Mick Walter, covers Purdue Boilermakers for 24/7 Sports. Mick, let's start this off here. 1-3 against a really tough schedule. Purdue did not set up Ryan Walters for his first year with this tough schedule. 3 Power 5 teams, I believe, already. One win at Virginia Tech, but Virginia Tech is really struggling. So, get us up to date? What are the vibes around Purdue after a 1-3 start?
Yeah, I think the vibes would be a lot better if the defense was holding up. I mean, you look at the schedule and they gave up 30 points, over 30 points, almost 40 in every loss that they've had. So Ryan Walters coming in, supposed to be this defensive guru with Kevin Kane, who has experience being a defensive coordinator and bringing in a lot of guys, even with a young coaching staff. So you'd have hope that you'd be able to put this coaching staff together and this defense would live up to what Ryan Walters has done in the past, and it just hasn't. I think that's the biggest disappointment is people were hoping, hey, we might not win all these games right away, but it'd be close. We'd be able to keep the score and we'd see improvement. And I just don't think fans are excited about that because they haven't seen that defensive improvement. I think there's been some offensive struggles as well, especially in short yardage situations. But I think overall, a lot of people are happy with Hudson Card. I mean, you could probably make the case that he's up there when it comes to the best transfer quarterbacks in the Big Ten. He hasn't the offensive line, the support system, the defense hasn't really set him up to pick up those wins the way that they would have liked.
What have been the big issues defensively? Because we saw Ryan Walters early in his Illinois tenure struggle a little bit, made some corrections, and became one of the best defenses in the Big Ten the previous 2 seasons. So, what has gone wrong through 4 games on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, it's a multitude of things. Early on, Fresno State, they beat him over the head repeatedly with just slot receivers making plays deep down the field. So this one, since it's the same defense, you guys kind of know there's 3 safeties, and essentially one of those is kind of your cover safety. What Purdue had was 2 safeties that were experienced last year. They moved Sanusi Kane to be kind of that in the box, that secondary linebacker, that guy that can play in the box, and he's done well at that. You moved your other safety in Cam Allen, who's one of the all-time leaders in interceptions for Purdue, and you moved him to be that kind of cover safety. And he's much more of a free safety, but I don't think they had the cover safety that they would have liked over Cam. So they moved a freshman in Dylan Thieneman, who's been really good at that deep safety, kind of that guy that's 20 yards off the ball. He's got 4.3 speed, and he's come downhill hard. He's done a great job at that, but Cam Allen has not adjusted well to being that cover safety, and at times he's been burned a lot, but whether it's slot receivers in Fresno State, Virginia Tech probably would have carved him up a little bit more if their starting slot receiver didn't get hurt. Syracuse doesn't have many slot receivers, and so that didn't come back to bite him. But the past 2 games, it's really been that run defense. I think the defensive line has kind of gotten worn down. And as you kind of know, and I saw you talk about tweet about it in one of the great games for Illinois, but having this one linebacker on the field for most times, it presents a big struggle, especially in run games and run downs, because once you get through that first level of the defense, it's that one linebacker, and if he's washed up, then it's that 20-yard safety that's got to come up and now make it at least a 10-yard gain, if not busted to the house. So they already had unathletic and somewhat athletically limited linebackers to start with, and now that they're having to play those guys, one person on the field. I mean, Fresno State pretty much put a wide receiver in for their game-winning touchdown. They put a wide receiver in the backfield, motioned him out, and made a linebacker guard a wide receiver, and it was an easy 7 for them. So just linebackers, having limited linebackers, a slot not being able to defend the slot. So this could be a big Isaiah Williams game, as I imagine we'll get into, and then the defensive line kind of wearing down. All 3 have been just building up because the past 2 games it's been run. The first couple of games they were getting torn apart by the pass. So it's been a multitude of things.
Yeah, I watched Cam Allen in that slot. I mean, Cam Allen's a really good player, and he seems to be really struggling in that. Isaiah Williams might be an opportunity for him there. I do look at Kevin Kane did a really good job with the outside linebackers at Illinois. And Nick Skirton, formerly Nick Carraway, is a really physically impressive player. Kydron Jenkins, a little bit different looking, maybe unorthodox for an outside linebacker, 6'1", 260, kind of squatty. But he's a pretty good player too. But it is interesting. Syracuse and Garrett Schrader just tearing them up with the quarterback run. Tanner Mordecai with some big opportunities with the quarterback run. So with Luke Altmaier, who's been a really good runner, what is the key for them in containing that quarterback run?
Yeah, I think you have to have that front 5 win because, like we talked about, quarterback runs naturally. You bring in, you have that front 5, which gets taken up by, you pretty much have one-on-ones all around. So if your offensive line can win those one-on-ones, you bring this in with Garrett Schrader or Luke Altmaier, any quarterback's going to run. then you add that linebacker and the running back matchup in. So if your running back can get any chip or even if the offensive line can get up to the linebacker, you're looking at nobody really even within the box that's able to stop this quarterback until, like we said, that deep safety. And if for some reason the deep safety reads a pass, or if they're running a route to kind of run the safety off, you're looking at just wide open grass down the field. So I think just being able to contain Luke Omar comes in, you have to have Cole Brevard, the nose tackle, Isaiah Nichols, Jeffrey Imba, a lot of these guys they brought in, and Malik Langham from Vanderbilt. A lot of these transfers they brought in to play in these front three defensive line spots. You have to have them win, and I don't think they did that against Wisconsin. I don't think they were able to do that against Syracuse, and they found gaps. Syracuse did a good job of kind of layering the run game and layering different things in that kept them off pace, but this defensive line interior-wise has not been what it looked like it could have been against Syracuse or against Fresno State and Virginia Tech.
With the busy fall season around the corner, you might be looking for some wholesome, convenient meals for your jam-packed days. Kids back in school, work is heating up again. Well, Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. You can refresh your healthy habits without missing a beat. Choose from 34-plus weekly flavor-packed, dietitian-approved meals, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Too busy running around during the day to think about lunch? Well, keep your energy up with Lunch to Go. Effortless, wholesome meals like grain bowls and salad toppers that are ready to eat when you're on the go. No microwave required. Or if you're looking for calorie-conscious options ahead of busy season, try delicious, dietitian-approved calorie smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. Or if you need an extra boost to support your wellness goals and feel your best for the rest of summer and the start of fall, try Protein Plus meals, my favorite, with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. So this August, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door. Ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. So head to factormeals.com/Illini50 and use code Illini50 to get 50% off. That's code Illini50 at factormeals.com/Illini50 to get 50% off.
All right, let's switch to the offensive side of the ball. Illinois obviously recruited Hudson Card pretty hard. Purdue able to get him away. When I watched film at Texas, I really liked what I saw in it. And outside of maybe the game against Syracuse where he had all those turnovers, Hudson Card just looked like what I thought Hudson Card would be, a dual threat playmaker. What have you seen from him? What has he brought to that Purdue offense that traditionally under Jeff Brom had all those pocket passers?
Yeah, obviously, I think there's some calls for even I pointed out myself. I think there's some where Hudson Card could use the athleticism he has more, but really, I think Hudson Card has brought just kind of a steadying presence, a guy that, like you said, besides the Syracuse game, they had up until that game they hadn't had a turnover in a game yet. I think he's a guy that does pretty well with the ball, controls the game well, and fits in with his smooth throwing motion, quick release, all that in this Graham Harrell air raid type of system. I think they've been able to get guys open, whether it's Deion Burks or Adir Rahim or Jassim, and then you got Max Clare at tight end. They got a handful of guys that can get open, and Hudson Card's just done a good job of being able to get the ball to them and let his playmakers make plays. Really, he hasn't had to take a lot of deep shots and be a hero, play hero ball. In the times where the offenses look good, it's been schemed up shots that have hit, but then you look at some of the games like Syracuse or Wisconsin, you have schemed up shots that don't hit, and that I think that ultimately is kind of to the detriment of Hudson Card.
You have a new offensive coordinator at Purdue in Graham Harrell bringing that air raid style. How is it different than what Jeff Brom did offensively?
Yeah, I think honestly even though it's an air raid, they probably run the ball just as much, if not more, than Jeff Brom would have. I think they've had success with that, and it did take a step up last week because they got Gus Hartwig, who's I believe it's the Heartland is the center award, or some Heartland or another one of the whatever the major center award. He was on that watch list to be, Outland or something like that. He was on the watch list to be on as that after starting and being one of the better centers in the Big Ten last year. They got him back after a knee injury late in the season last year, and he looked good in week one in this past week against Wisconsin. So he's kind of helped in that run game and kind of been able to open up the tackles. Really, tackles and guards are very well in pass protection. It's the run game really that they've struggled to be able to move people off the ball. But the Graham Harrell, I think overall the success of Graham Harrell's offense has been good so far. It's been like we can get into it probably later, or right now, but short yardage situation is expected. I think Purdue in 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 is has a very low percentage of converting, and they've tried just about everything, whether it's running right up the middle, behind your center and your guards, outside passes, quarterback keeps. They've done just about everything, and nothing has worked. It's been one of the things that's plagued them the most, because you're settling for a fourth down deep. You're failing to convert fourth down deep in your end zone. You're not getting 3 or 7, and then the other team's getting the ball right back.
Illinois is concerned about the running backs at Purdue. I don't know the last time a coach was talking about that. Maybe when Raheem Mostert was part of Purdue. So what did Tyrone Tracy, who stepped up the last couple of games, Devin Mockabee, we all got to know last year. What a great story as a walk-on. Ryan Walters giving the scholarship. What is about that duo that's been good?
Yeah, I think Tracy especially has just really seen the ball well. I believe he's probably the only player on the team that scored a touchdown in every single game that Purdue's played. He's played really well, found some running lanes, and had success. Devin Mockabee also has had his moments as well. A couple of big runs in Virginia Tech and looked good against Fresno State. But the thing is, Devin Mockabee, he's not the biggest guy. He runs strong, but I don't know. He's not the biggest guy. And then he's a very big contributing factor to a lot of those fumbles and turnovers against Syracuse, which I think made his carries kind of get cut down against Wisconsin, along with Tyrone Tracy being talented. But I mean, they both are explosive guys that can rip off, those 10 to 15-yard runs. They have good vision, especially Tracy. He's looked very good in his transition from slot receiver, wide receiver to running back this offseason. I think that was more of his natural position. The Purdue running backs coach knows him because he recruited his brother to Miami, Ohio, and even recruited Tyrone to Miami, Ohio. So there's a relationship there. I think he's just kind of fit in with this coaching staff and found success. Use the talent he's always had to find success on the field.
Wide receiver has been a strength for Purdue for so long, and Charlie Jones no longer there, doing pretty well for the Cincinnati Bengals. But what have you seen from this wide receiver group? Because what I've seen looks like it's still a strength of the team.
Yeah, I mean, when Deion Burks is on and you're getting those shots to him, he can be maybe the best wide receiver in the Big Ten West. If I'm forgetting somebody, I forgive me, but I think he's got the explosiveness and the dynamic ability to be up there with like an Isaiah Williams, Nico Reggini from Iowa. Some of these guys that have been very successful for a while. He's explosive, and he's somebody that they moved out wide after having him in the slot for most of the time, because they had TJ Sheffield, who's also in the slot. He's a steady guy. Abdir Rahim Yassim, I believe is how you say it. He's been a steady guy as well. He had a big game against Syracuse and just racking up yards. And again, Max Clare, the tight end, is somebody that they really liked ever since they got there. And he's been involved with a lot of plays when it comes to just run blocking, pass blocking, but also, I mean, he's been a big yards after the catch guy, getting them in. He's been able to run down the field. So they have a plethora of talented pass catchers, and it all starts with Deion Burks, who, according to Ryan Walters, is probably the biggest athletic freak on the team.
Offensive line for Purdue might face its biggest test of the year this week against Illinois. Illinois' defensive front struggled a little bit against these dual threat quarterbacks, so that'll be a big key, especially for those outside linebackers. But what is the state of the offensive line for Purdue?
Yeah, I think pass protection wise, they feel good. Obviously, you don't face a Johnny Newton or a Keith Randolph all the time, so that is certainly something that'll challenge them. Both guards are guys that transferred up from Group of 5 levels to Power 5 levels and have struggled at times. Like I said, I don't think anybody in this offensive line necessarily excels when it comes to moving people off the ball in the run game. So that'll be interesting to watch. Illinois should be able to kind of control the line of scrimmage in those rundowns, unless Gus Hartwig is kind of just able to slide in after one game last week and kind of take over and help this unit gel better. But tackle wise, they moved their right guard from last year, Marcus Imbo, out to right tackle, and he's probably been their best offensive lineman. Pass blocking, run blocking wise, he's done it all. Muhammad Musa, he's had his moments at left tackle. You see the flashes, but he's not necessarily there 100% yet. So it could be Illinois' front 5 and those outside linebackers, and especially those two, the law firm, those guys, they could come in and really wreck shop in this interior, because you're going against some guys that have some playing time but are also not used to playing. I mean, these are 2 NFL caliber guys, let alone Big Ten caliber guys.
I want to take a minute and tell you about Home Field. They are a premium collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis. They emphasize their commitment to creating incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. They feature a growing collection of over 150 plus colleges to choose from, including, of course, the University of Illinois. Home Field designs are super unique, guys, because they delve into the archives and history of each school, including Illinois, and they use unique logos and iconic moments to create thoughtfully designed apparel. So if you go to homefieldapparel.com, you can see the 80s Illini football helmet that so many like, Flying Illini logo, the Illinois basketball logo from the 2004-2005 Illini team. The script Illini is there. And you guys, these are the most comfortable shirts. And that's what I love about Home Field Apparel. You get the comfort, but you also get authenticity and nostalgia. So I'm telling you guys, give their site a look. It's not the typical Illinois gear you usually see. You can find them at homefieldapparel.com, where you can see their collection of colleges available. And guess what? Our listeners at Illini Inquirer get 15% off their first order with discount code Illini23. Again, 15% off your first order at homefieldapparel.com with discount code Illini23. So, as you go to Illinois football games, get ready for the Illinois basketball season, Home Field Apparel is the perfect apparel to get you ready for the upcoming season. So check them out at homefieldapparel.com.
Before we get to the personal side of this matchup, which just makes this more interesting, this rivalry game, what does this game just mean for Purdue football?
I mean, obviously, so this is game 3 or 4. I can't limit. Fresno State, you had Syracuse, Wisconsin. So game 4 at Ross-Ade for Ryan Walters. Second game in the Big Ten. He has not won at home yet. He has not won a Big Ten game yet. So those two things, I think, obviously, he'd love to check off the box. And I think he said as much earlier in his press conference. It's like, hey, it can't even be about me beating Illinois. It has to be about winning in Ross-Ade. It has to be winning a Big Ten game before we can even get into that. And I mean, they've had some good recruiting weekends. You've been able to get a lot of guys on campus, but obviously it sucks when coaches don't want to talk, or it's hard to accommodate when everybody's losing. And I mean, they're bringing a couple guys. Andre Lovett from Illinois, he's going to be down. Michael McDonough, who I believe you saw last week, and he'll also be down. So that they did a good. Luke Williams also been in the building, who I imagine if Illinois wins this, your boards will be asking about, but he'll be in the stands to watch this as well. I mean, they're going to bring some guys in from Illinois to try and recruit. So it's a big overall setting just to kind of be able to prove that Ryan Walters can succeed in the Big Ten, that this is a place where he was deserving to be. I think that can kind of start right here against Illinois.
There is a personal side of this, right? Aaron Henry, I thought he was great yesterday when he was asked about Ryan, just talking about how much Ryan means to him, how much he still loves that guy. Like they're still boys. And talking with Ryan at Big Ten Media Days, myself with Joey, like Ryan really appreciates his time at Illinois, all of that. But going to Purdue gives you this element where there's been some recruiting battles that those get personal, even if it's business, right, Mick? So what do you make of the personal side of this with Kevin Kane, Corey Patterson, Grant O'Brien, Joe Deneen, countless Preston Gordon, Pete Rowley, 7 guys from that Purdue staff who were on the Illinois staff last year?
Yeah, I think if you just went into the season looking at the schedule, I imagine if Ryan Walters took the red Sharpie, encircled one game and said, I want to get this one, I imagine it would have been Illinois, just because I think him and Brett Bielema have a good working relationship. They enjoy working together, but when you leave, obviously it's a different element. I think Brett Bielema probably in the Illinois fan base appreciates everything Ryan did while he was there, but now he's a couple hours down the road and they want him to lose on Saturday. So it's as simple as that. And it'll be interesting. I think Kevin Kane will talk tomorrow to the media to hear him kind of answer some questions on it. But they're trying to make it as much of the regular game as possible. But, I mean, I was on the field at camp this summer when they won the Luke Williams recruiting battle. And I think they had some things that, whether it's tweeting about things and just subtweeting like they got into over the summer that they wanted to say, but they held back and so they could get it on the field and prove it against Illinois because they wanted to be able to have the players back it up, this team back it up. So it could get interesting, and the environments of things could be overall just fun to watch after whoever wins this or how this game goes on Saturday.
Brett Bielema has not beaten Purdue yet at Illinois. He swept them when he was at Wisconsin. I mean, it's been a long time since Purdue beat Wisconsin, but this is a big game for Illinois for their bowl eligibility, for feeling good about the Big Ten West, where people thought coming into the season they could be a contender. So means a bunch for both of these teams. So for you, Mick, what is the key to Purdue winning their first home game and beating this Illinois team?
Yeah, it's similar. I imagine I'll write about this when I get you your questions back for the Know the Foe segment. But it's really, if Purdue wants to win this game, they have to have a Big Ten win in the line of scrimmage. You have to have this offensive line be able to move people off the ball and limit Johnny Newton and Keith Randolph as much as they can. You have to have this defensive line force Luke Altmaier to beat them, which they weren't able to really do last week against Tanner Mordecai. Braylon Allen ran wild. Ches Malusi ran wild until he got hurt. And even Tanner Mordecai had a good game on the ground. So this team has to be able to force the quarterbacks to beat them because I think they have a talented secondary. I think they have a good safety group, a good cornerback pairing that they added in transfers. But they do not have the ability to just continue to line up and win consistently. If they can't win consistently in the line of scrimmage, it could be a long day. And like you said, if this game comes down to really whoever loses this, you and I cannot sit down here and look at the schedule and try and plan out wins. If you lose this game, whoever loses the game really is not going bowling, because you can't find games on the schedule left without winning this one to kind of get the 6 wins.
Especially for Purdue. I look at this October after Illinois. You had Illinois at home at Iowa. No matter what you think of Iowa, that's a tough place to win with their defense and special teams. Home against Ohio State, at Nebraska, winnable, but then at Michigan. So what does this year one mean for Ryan Walters, given the schedule that he's in? But, I mean, he took over the Big Ten West champion, took over Jeff Brom. I mean, that's the hard part of, he kind of took over a rebuild, but he took over a place where they're used to winning. So what's this year mean for him year one?
I think obviously the goal with any really Big Ten West program, considering what's on the East, is to get to a bowl game, get to that Big Ten championship game, especially with this being the last year of those conferences. And I think that was kind of what you enter with in the mind, because that gives you, for this coaching staff, another week to coach these guys up, another year, another few weeks to build that culture. And when things go bad, obviously, when you're bringing a lot of transfers in, it's easy for that to fall apart and crack. So I think Big Ten getting a bowl game was obviously the goal. And like you said, you look at this, you got Ohio State and Michigan on the schedule. So those are pretty much 2 losses. You got 1 now. So you need Illinois, and you're hoping at the end, when you look at Northwestern, who beat Minnesota last week. So you're looking at Northwestern, Indiana, you're hoping are 2. So that brings you to 3. And then you need to pretty much be able to beat Iowa, Illinois, and Nebraska or Minnesota. Along those lines, you have to play very well in the Big Ten West to be able to get to a bowl game. And I think that's kind of the goal and hope. And yeah, you look at it, 3 Power 5 teams non-conference, and I believe Fresno State is actually the only team of the 4 teams they played already that are ranked. I think Fresno State's in the AP Top 25, and I was just double checking. I don't think it actually gets any easier next year either. I think they have Notre Dame. So whoever has been setting up Purdue's non-conference schedule has not been too kind of them. Yeah, you got Notre Dame, Oregon State, and at least next year they have Indiana State and an FCS program. But I mean, I was looking at, we'll be talking, says in week 4 next year. So they'll be lining up for Illinois to kick off Big Ten conference play.
Illinois and Purdue need to be smarter with their non-conference opponents. They have not scheduled those too well. Well, Mick Walker, Purdue fans have showed up, man. It's been a cool atmosphere. It's been one of the better, more underrated atmospheres, I think, in the Big Ten here recently, and a huge game that I think is going to be a close one. So looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. I'll see you there, man.
Appreciate it, Jeremy. Thank you.
I'm very excited to announce a new partnership with Underdog Fantasy. We decided to partner with Underdog because it's the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Underdog Fantasy has a lot to offer, including their Pick'em game. In Pick'em, you pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. It's so easy to play. Just pick 2 to 5 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can more than 20 times your amount of money by going 5 for 5. They also have a Best Ball Mania. If you think you know football, you got to check this one out. This year's Best Ball Mania has $50 million in total prizes up for grabs, with the winner taking home $3 million. So sign up today with promo code Illini and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code Illini to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. You must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ncpgambling.org.